Bosun for that for that wonderful introduction and recognition. May Allah bless you.
Amen.
Yeah. Seminar paper titled "Getting Research Paper Published in Reputable Journals." Before I start, I want to give my acknowledgements to the organizer of this business research consult, and that is Dr. Assis Bosun-Lawal. I thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with colleagues from both Nigeria and outside Nigeria. The topic you have given to me to discuss is titled "Getting Research Paper Published in Reputable Journals." So my special felicitation to you all, and it is my belief that at the end of this presentation, you will have something tangible to take home. So let's go into the business. My first question to you all is that why research and publication? Why do you think we should carry out research and also publish? Before we can answer that, let us look at what is a research. There are many definitions about what research is. I will only look at 3 definitions. I'm going to provide you these 3 definitions. There are better definitions than, there may be better definition than the one I want to give you, but just for the purpose of this presentation, let us have idea of what a research is. We can define research as a systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. The purpose of research is to enable us to establish facts and reach conclusion. The second definition is that research is the creative and systematic work done to increase the stock of knowledge, which involves the collection, organization, and analysis of information to increase understanding of a topic or issue. So we can summarize that research enables us to have understanding about a topic or issue through analysis of some information that we have before us. When you analyze information, that will give you understanding about the topic or issue. So you see that most research that are done, they are to enable us to have knowledge about a particular issue or topic. The last definition that I want to give is that research can be described as the process of discovering new knowledge. Every research that is good always aim at discovering new knowledge. The purpose of every research is to add to our knowledge, discovery of new knowledge. So when you conduct a research, it enables us to have new knowledge about a particular phenomenon. Now, we have considered what is a research. Now we want to look at why do we conduct research? There are various reasons why we conduct research. I will only look at some of these reasons. The first one is to enhance our knowledge. because in every field, there are many uncovered areas. We have many uncovered areas in any field. If it is marketing, if it is accounting, if it is finance, if it is law, if it is engineering, there are many uncovered areas. Uncovered area in the sense that there are a lot of work that have to be done. So the purpose of conducting research is to enable us to uncover those areas that people have not been able to discover, or they have not been able to cover extensively. So it also enables efficient learning capacity. When you conduct a research, you do a lot of reading, you do a lot of learning, because it involves reading from other authors and other scholars. So through that, it enhances your learning capacity. Research can also aid employment prospects. We have research companies, we have research institutes. If you are very good in research, those research companies, they can employ you. Those research institutes, they can give you employment. And most companies, very large companies, they have research and development units where they try to conduct research, maybe about their products, about their markets, or about their consumers, or about their competitors. So it serves as aid for employment. It aids employment prospects. So as a very good researcher, you are sure of getting job in some of these companies that are involved in research. It also offers opportunity to understand problems that are not known. I've told you earlier on in my definition of research, you try to understand problems that are not known. There are some problems that people, they are not aware of. Through research, you are able to uncover those problems and you offer solutions to it. It also provides truthful evidence that are logical and knowledge-based. Every research must have element of truth. When you falsify data, it's unethical. So when you are conducting research, you should have it at the back of your mind that the information you are providing is true. So a research provides truthful evidence that are logical and knowledge-based. Those truthful evidence, they are logical and they are knowledge-based. They are words. They are words can be verified. And that is the reason why, if you conduct a research in Nigeria, some scholars in other countries, they may want to replicate that research to know whether they are going to arrive at the same results or outcome that you are getting. So that is why you must make sure that you provide truthful evidence that are logical and knowledge-based. It also helps in developing the ability to read and analyze. A good researcher will be able to read and analyze phenomena. You will see that every lecturer or every person that is a faculty member who is very intelligent will be able to read and analyze events. I can easily read a person like a book and tell you what that person will do. So as a good researcher, you should be able to read and analyze phenomenon. You should have ability to read and analyze phenomenon. It also provides update and recent information. You will see that in research, we always emphasize on recency, on currency of idea. We want to be current. A research that is conducted last year can become outdated this year. So many things might have happened within that short period. So research try to provide updates on recent information. In sciences, every second and every minute, they always make sure that they provide, they carry out research in order to have an updates information of development, either in technology or in the area of study. It also builds credibility for a researcher. When you are a good researcher, people will know you. You will be known both nationally and internationally. Institutions of higher learning can even invite you to come and talk on a particular topic and give them information concerning that. So it creates a kind of credibility for a researcher. And that is why most universities nowadays, they try to have an award like the best researcher of the year. They have been doing that at University of Ilorin for the past 10 or 15 years. They will try to look at the best researcher of the year for the school, and they normally give them awards so as to motivate others to also perform well in their research endeavor. So it builds credibility for a researcher. It helps in giving focus on the scope. When you are carrying out a research, you have a scope. You don't look at a topic that will be too broad for you to cover. You have to think of the scope of your research. You cannot successfully carry out research on a broad topic. So you have to have a scope. So it helps you to have a focus on your scope of research. Then it encourages the introduction of new ideas. I've discussed about that. Then lastly, it prepares the researcher for the future. So as you conduct research, it prepares you for the future. As we are prof now, we still try to gain more knowledge and share ideas. And we are able to do that from our past research activity. Now, why must we publish as an academic? That question is very important. You should ask yourself, why must I publish? There are various reasons why we must publish. We must publish because it helps in comparing a researcher work with that of others. When you publish, it helps you to compare your work with that of others. People will refer to you in their work, more especially those that are writing similar topic with your own. They will make reference to what you have done, and that makes them to compare their work with your own. It also gives important feedback on the validity of a research approach. The kind of approach you are using, if it is wrong, from other scholars, you will be able to know. They will some scholars are going to criticize your approach if it is not a valid approach. They will let you know. It also helps other researchers advance their work by conducting research, by publishing. People who read your work will be able to build on what you have done. So it helps them advance their work. Writing and publishing also put the research into larger context. People are able to make reference to your work. It puts your research into a larger context. People are able to look at it globally, not only within your local domain. It can also help in the public understanding of a research question. Every research must have objective and research question. So when you publish a research, people will be able to know the research question that you have raised and the objective that you want to achieve for that research work. So by publishing, it enables people understand the research question from that published work. It also helps in advancing career progression for academic appointment and promotion. I think this is what is very important to most of us. And that is why most of us, we want to participate in this kind of seminar. We want to see how this research can make us, how we can know about writing research so that we can be able to get promotion. I want us to know that research is more than that. It leads to self-development. It makes you to be able to develop yourself. By conducting research and publishing your work, you are able to develop yourself. You are able to also advance your career. I want you to know that getting to professor does not necessarily mean that is the end of publishing your work. If you are a very serious academic, you will want to publish more. So it also helps in establishing a researcher as an expert in his or her field. When you continue to publish, that makes you to be recognized as an expert in your field. It's not when you become professor that you can become an expert. The more you publish, the more people try to recognize you as an expert in your field of knowledge. And the last one is that it helps in the evaluation for research funding requests. When you know how to publish, you will be able to attract yourself grants and funding opportunities. There are many grants available, but it is those who are very good in research that can have opportunity of attracting those grants. Now, let us come to the issue of how do we find best donor for a research paper. Is an important thing that you know how to write a research. It's another important thing to know how you get a donor for your research paper. Because most people, I still remember when we were assistant lecturers and lecturer too, we will have a good paper before us. We will come up with a good paper. We will be thinking of where are we going to publish the journal. So there are solutions to this, which I will discuss with you. What you will do, more especially for international journal. For local journal is not a problem. You can just write anything and send it to Akungba Journal of Management Science. They will publish it for you. But for international journal, you have to find out the best journal that your paper will be, the best journal that will be suitable for your paper. So what you will do is to Google donor suggester or donor finder. You have to Google it. Then when you Google donor suggester or donor finder, you have to type donor suggester for Springer, or donor suggester for Wiley, or donor finder for Wiley, Elsevier, Emirates, Taylor and Francis, Sage, Web of Science, Scopus Index Journal, Inda Science Publishers, IGI Global Donors. When you Google donor suggester for those donors, you will see a lot of donors. I can tell you that the best 5 donor, they are Springer, Wiley, Elsevier, Emirate, and Taylor and Francis. If you can publish in those donors, you are sure of meeting up with promotion criteria in any standard university. In fact, there are some of these donors, if you can just have 4 or 8 papers, you can get job anywhere in the world. If you can try to get your paper published in any of these 5 top donors, which are Q1, you are sure of getting job in any university internationally. So let's move to the next slide. Now, I've discussed, it's because of time, I will have demonstrated how you will be able to use donor suggester to determine the best donor for your paper. But because of time and because at my end, I cannot share something. But at your own private time, when you get home, just Google donor suggester or donor finder for Willie, for Taylor and Francis. You will see many donors. Then you will be able to click on it. Then some of these donor is when you open donor suggester page, some of the portal will ask you to copy your abstracts and keywords. So it will just make suggestion for you on those donors that are best for that paper. I hope you'll be able to do that when you are at home. So now let's look at the publishing journey. When you are trying to publish in a very good journal, in internationally recognized journal, there is a journey that you have to undertake. And I will try to explain it through this diagram. The first one, when you have when you want to do research, you think of a research topic. So you write a research topic. You think of a research topic, you develop that research topic and make it a research paper. So when you make it a research paper, you try to select publication for that research paper. When you select a publication and you send your paper to that publication, the editor of that journal will send your paper for peer review. What is called peer review is that 2 or 3 reviewers will look at your paper. In most journals, they will send your paper to about 2 or 3 reviewers. They will look at your paper. They will see whether the paper is good, whether it's making contribution to knowledge. So they will try to assess your work. in the process, they will make their comments and opinion known by sending the paper to the editor. Please, before I continue, I've jumped one step. After writing your research paper and you select publication, you make submission. Then from that submission, the editor send your paper to peer reviewers. So the peer reviewers, they will look at your paper. If your paper is okay, then they will, there is no way you can write a paper that they will not have some question to ask. They will want you to clarify some things. They will make comments. So through that, they will send the paper to the editor. The editor will send the reviewer's comment to you. Some paper will need to be modified. So you will make the necessary modification and return to the editor. In some cases, the reviewers may recommend that the paper is not good and reject it. So when it is rejected, you will have to go and work on it. And if possible, you can resubmit to that journal or find another journal and send the paper. But in a situation where the paper is accepted, subject to corrections, you make the necessary corrections and resubmit to the editor. So the editor will also send your correction to your peer reviewers. So the peer reviewers, if they are satisfied with your modification, will now communicate to the editor that the paper is okay. It's then that the editor will communicate to you that the paper has been accepted. Now it will involve correction, proofreading, and publication of that paper. So when the paper is published, there is the publishing journey has not stopped there. And that is why it's good. We publish in a recognized journal or a standard journal like Wiley, Emerald, and Sage. If we don't publish in that kind of journal, the publishing journey may end there. But in a very reputable journal like that, they will help you to disseminate your publication. They disseminate it by subscribing to Web of Science and some of these database. So through that, they will be able to get more readers for your work. So it's when people are reading your work that we can now determine the impact your research is having on the public. So that is just the explanation on the publishing journey. Let's move. Let's move to the next slide. So now we look at selecting the right venue for your work. When you are dealing with publishing company like Emerald and Sage, you may decide to look at various venue that you want to publish your work. Is it through journal? Is the paper meant for journal, or is it a book that you are writing? Then for Emerald, for instance, we have Emerald Open Research. Is it that venue you want to use? Is it also case study? There is what is known as case study. So those, depending on the venue that you want to publish your work, you decide on those venues. But for most academics, they prefer publishing their work in a journal paper. So let's move to the next slide. Publishing in journals. There are some factors that need to be considered when you want to choose a journal that you want to publish your work. The first one is relevant readership. You have to be sure that when you publish your journal, it's going to get to the relevant readers, those that are your target audience, those that will be interested in your work. You must make sure that you consider those things before you publish in a particular journal, whether you are going to get in contact with the relevant readers. Then you must make sure that when you want to publish, you use recent articles. You must publish using recent articles, recent works, so that your work will be current, it will be up to date. Then you look at the journal that you want to publish your work, whether that journal is having association with some societies. There are some journals, they have some association. So that greatly help you as an author. If they have association, the association may call for conference. So through that, you'll be able to meet other scholars from other universities, be able to interact with them, be able to share knowledge. So journals that have association or societies are very good. It enables you to interact with other scholars, maybe when the association organizes a conference or workshop, so you are able to meet. And the internationality of that journal also matters. You as a good scholar, you don't limit yourself to your local domain. You think of publishing your work in international journals that are internationally recognized. So that will give you credibility. Now, most of these journals, most of these standard journals, they have acceptance rates for papers. You just don't send any paper there and you think they will publish it. They have acceptance rates. Some, the acceptance rate is 9%. That out of 100 papers, maybe they will only publish 9 that are good. Some, the acceptance rate may be 10%. Some, the acceptance rate may be 20%. Some, it may be 25%. But I want you to know that those papers with lower acceptance rate, they are usually recognized as the best journals. For instance, a journal with 6% acceptance rate is recognized better than one with 10% acceptance rate. So when you are trying to send your journal to those with lower acceptance rate, it means that you have to work very hard so that your paper will be considered for publication. Because if you don't work very well, a paper that is having 10% acceptance rate, the possibility is there that they will just throw your paper away. Then we look at circulation. Circulation is also very important. Most Nigerian journals, they don't have good circulation. You will see that, if not now, that NUC and some universities, they are encouraging our work to be published online. there are some publications that will never be seen outside that university. So it makes you a local champion. Nobody hear about you. But with the NUC regulation that, and most universities regulation that your work must be online, it promotes you. It make the journal to be well circulated. When I was on accreditation team, I was very happy when I saw journal of marketing in about 3 universities that I visited. I saw my department journal. In fact, that made me to even influence the grading of some of those universities. I said, yes, I can see that you are a serious department. You have my university journal. So I am proud that the marketing department journal are circulated to almost everywhere in Nigerian universities. That is very important. You must think of the circulation of the journal. You must be sure that it is a journal that is having high rate of circulation. Now, the last thing I want to discuss is time from submission to publication. Most good journals, they will let you know the time that it will take them to accept your manuscripts and get back to you. There are some papers, they can be rejected from the desk review. If that is why, as a good author, you must make sure you read author's guideline. Try to know the aims and scope of a journal before you send your paper there. If your aims and objective of that journal is not met, your paper will be returned to you from desk review. They will return it at desk review. So you must try to make sure you read the author's guideline. You must follow all the information you are expected to do. So there is always time for review, time for the time it will take for review, the time you should send your correction, the time that they will publish the paper. All those ones, they are going to be indicated by some of those journals. Now we look at types of papers. We have practice paper or trade journals. There are some associations, they have journal like engineering, medicine, accounting. They have their practice, they have their trade journal. So we call them practice paper. Then research paper, this is the original paper, the regular type that we normally publish for promotion. Then we have case study. Case study, they are seldom used by social sciences and other disciplines. They are normally used by those in medicine, but it's not restricted to medicine field alone. You can write a case study in management, what is happening in an organization, and you make recommendation and send it to a journal. If it is good, they will publish it. But I want to advise you that case study, they normally attract lesser score when it comes to promotion matter. Maybe they normally award 1 mark for case study. Then we have review. Review is the same thing as literature review or conceptual review. And we have 3 types. We have literature review, we have meta-analysis, then we have, what other one do we have? I know that we have the conceptual review, the meta-analysis and the literature review. So it's just a summary of a paper. You can review a paper and send it for publication. Is allowed. You can just look. You can review a book and send it to some of these journals, so they will help you publish it. Then we have few points. Few points, they are also known as opinion. You can write opinion or letter, editor's letter. Some good editors, they write letter and they publish it. So it's also a type of paper. Now we move on to the next one, journal options. Basically, we have two types of journal options. We have open access. Okay, when we talk of open access, there is no financial, legal, or technical barrier to accessing it. Anyone can read it. Open access allows readers to read the paper without making payment. While restricted option, readers, they must pay before they are allowed to have access to the paper. Because of time, I will be very fast. Measuring journal quality. When we talk of measuring journal quality, there are many things that we can use to measure a journal quality. Ranking is very important. They rank journals. More especially, Scopus journals, they have ranking for journal. We are going to get there. Then there are web science measures. Then we have citations. When your paper are highly cited, it means that the quality of that paper is good. Others include impact factors. I will show you in my next slide how to compute impact factors. Then Scopus and site score. The higher your site score, the better the quality of your work. The H index, Google Scholar. Through Google Scholar, you are able to know, to measure the quality of your publication. The more people cite your work, it means that the more quality your paper. Then usage and peer perception. How do your colleagues, how do they perceive your paper? Then paper submission. The following are some of the criteria that should be considered before submitting a manuscript for publication. You must choose the right journal. I've told you how you can choose the best journal for your paper. The paper should also fit the aim and scope of the journal. So you must read author's guidelines to check format and referencing. That is very important, because if your reference is different from the journal formats, it may be rejected. And what you need to provide in the data guidelines. You can move to the next slide. Peer review process. I think I've explained that. I've explained all these things. Peer review process, I've explained it. I've explained it. Now, abstracting and indexing. Please, abstracting and indexing. The last slide, please bring it forward. Basically, indexes provide entries which enable the location of information. When you index your paper, it allows easy location of that paper. While abstracts summarize the contents of the original piece. You can move to the next slide. We look at some of these measures of quality. That is Web of Science. Web of Science is previously known as Web of Knowledge, and it's a database of bibliographic citation of multidisciplinary areas that cover the various journals of medical, scientific, and social sciences, including humanities. And it was inaugurated in 2004 by Thomson Reuters. Move to So it's a very good way of measuring the quality of a paper or journal. Move to the next slide. Scopus. Scopus is Elsevier abstract and citation database, and it was launched in 2004. It covers about 36,377 titles, of which 34,346 are peer-reviewed journals in top-level subjects. In top-level subject field like life sciences, social sciences, physical sciences, and earth sciences. It covers 3 types of sources: book series, journals, and trade journals. And it also has score, Simago journal rank, and SNP, source normalized impact per paper. Please move to the next. Then we have ProQuest. ProQuest make hundreds of full text and abstract and index collection available to researchers around the world. So the ProQuest platform hosts multidisciplinary content containing scholarly journals, book videos, and dissertation and thesis. Move to the next slide. Newspaper and more. Then we have Ebisco. Ebisco is a leading provider of research database, e-journal and e-package subscription, management book, collection development, and acquisition management. It is also a major provider of library, technology, e-books, and clinical decision solution for university, colleges, hospital, corporation, government, and public libraries. Then Google Scholar Citations. Google Scholar Citations, they provide a simple way to check who is citing your publication and graph citation over time. I think everybody is familiar with Google Scholar Citation. More especially those of you that have subscribed to Google Scholar, you will be able, when you type the name of a scholar, it will enable you to know the number of publications and the number of citations made by that author. Then we have other important terms which relate to publications. We have impact factor of a journal. This can be described as the total number of citations for the article published in preceding 2 years per total numbers of articles published in 2 years. Compilation for the journal impact factor is shown in the next slide. So if you want to compute for impact factor, you have a column for name of journal, year of publication, number of published articles, overall citation of the articles in the present year. For instance, if you have X journal, if in 220, the journal, the number of published articles is 30, and the overall citation for that 30 articles are 50, and in year 2021, the number of published articles for journal X is 40, the number of citation is 90. When you want to compute the impact factor of the journal for year 2022, it will be overall citation of the articles in year 2022 and 2021. Okay. We are going to send the, well, since the presentation is going to be sent to everyone, you will see the way I have done the computation. So let us move so that, because I know you are spending money. I've spent 1 hour wasting time trying to Google Scholar, H-index. This represents that end paper of a researcher have been cited at least 8 times each. For example, this can be demonstrated from my own Google Scholar page. When Okay, so you will see the way that is computed when you are given the slide. I have another slide which is more than this. So maybe I will send that to Dr. Bosunlawa later, because this one, I work on it. So let's move. I've shown. So when you look at this, if you want to determine my H index, you count the number of population that is cited 12 or more. If you look at my Google Scholar page, you see that there are 12 papers that have been cited that are having 12 citation more, 12 or more citation. If you count it, you see that there are 12. So that make me have H index of 12. Why I index is number of publications that have more than 10, that has 10 or more citation. So I have about 14. That is why my I index is 14. You can do that for your own, and you will see that you will arrive at the same thing. So let's move. So the Google Scholar citation of the above reveal that H index is 12, I index is 14. Please note that I index is measured by the number of papers that are cited at least 10 times. Then we have site score. Site score is another metric for measuring journal impact in Scopus. The calculation of site score for the current year is based on the number of citations received by a journal in the latest 4 years, including the calculation year, divided by the number of documents published in those 4 years. Please help me open. So the addition that I said I've made, I want to read it from my own end, or I can send it to you so that hello, Dr. Bosun. Dr. Bosun Lawa.
Sir, yes, sir.
Can I send it to you so that
no problem. We'll cascade it to them after we receive it, sir.
Okay, maybe I should read from my hand here.
No problem, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. So now we are at Simago journal ranking. Simago please don't be annoyed though. The Simago journal ranking indicator measures the scientific influence of scholarly journals that account for both the number of citations received by a journal and the importance or prestige of the journal, where the citations come from. It is a numeric value representing the average number of weighted citations received during a selected year per document published in that journal during the previous 3 years, as indexed by Scopus. Higher Simago journal rank indicator values indicate greater journal prestige. So the journal with higher Simago journal ranking shows that those journals are of greater prestige. So Sigma journal rank is developed by the Simago lab, originated from a research group at the University of Granada. We move to the next slide. The Simago journal rank is divided into 4 quartiles. So we have the Q1. The Q1, they occupy the top 25% of journals in the list. If any scholar can get his paper published in Q1, if you can have your paper published in at least 8 Q1 journals, I can assure you that Harvard University will even want to employ you because they are the top 25% journal in the list. They are highly rated journal. Q2 is occupied by donors in the 25 to 50%. So if you can get your paper published in Q2 rated journal, is also good. I think most of my, some of my colleagues, especially in the sciences and engineering in University of Ilorin, they have their journal in Q2. I don't know of Q1, but I know there are some hardworking colleagues. They have their journal published in Q2 rated journal. I will encourage our colleagues that are coming up. There is nothing special there. If we have been mentored properly, we also supposed to have published in those Q1 and Q2. Despite the fact that we are not being mentored, I thank Almighty God, I have my paper in Q3 journal. So the Q3 journal is occupied by donors in the 50 to 75% group. And the Q4 is occupied by donors in the 75 to 100%. There are some donors that are in Simago donor rank that are not in any of these groups. They are referred to as, they are classified as others. So please let us be focused so that our donor can appear in some of these ranking. Now, I will look at source normalized impact per paper. And I won't deceive you, it's good to travel out. If not that I travel out to some of the, to some countries, there is no way I will have been able to publish my paper in some of these Q-rated journals because I have to learn a lot of things like the use of SEM PLC. So if you don't have a good methodology and make use of good research tools, hardly can you publish in any of those Q-rated journals. The source normalized impact per paper. This measures the contextual citation impact by weighing citation based on the total number of citations in a subject field. The impact of a single citation is given higher value in subject areas where citations are less likely and vice versa. It was created by Professor F. Moet at Center for Science and Technology Studies, University of Leiden. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to conclusion. I want to make this conclusion. I got this from Emirate Guide to Publishing. You don't have it on your slide. Emirate Guide to Publishing try to give meaning to publication. The word publication, it means P stands for presentation, U stands for understand your target market, be ethical, B stands for be ethical, L stands for learn from the review process, I stand for in collaboration. You must always be in collaboration with others. Like most Scopus paper, if you are not up to 3 or 4, they will not publish your paper. They want to have diverse ideas. They want to have different ideas brought together. So that is the essence of collaboration. In fact, the reason why some of these top-rated journals, they encourage collaboration is that they want to have knowledge from different fields. You will see that there is no field in the university that is on its own. There is no field that is independent. We are interrelated. And that is why they encourage collaboration. For instance, you that you are in accounting or management, you can collaborate with somebody in English language. After finishing your paper, you take your paper to the person in English department to help you correct it. So his correction is a contribution, and you can ask him to also add his knowledge about the topic you are writing about, and you will see that you come up with a better paper. So the next one, check and check again. When after you have finished writing your research, you check and check again. You try to proofread what you have written. That will make you to discover mistakes or where it is necessary for you to adjust. Then attention to details. After your paper might have been reviewed, whatever they ask you to do, you must do it. Where you are having problem, you communicate it to the reviewers. If their suggestion is not in line with you, you communicate it in a diplomatic way. And when they look at your comments, if they find it reasonable, you may reach at an agreement. So you must give attention to detail. You must take your time. When you are writing a paper, you don't just use 2 days to write a paper. You are not going to get a very good paper. A very good paper will take at least 1 or 2 weeks after you have gathered material that you want to use to write that paper. Then you involve your peers. You should not work alone. Most people, they like to work alone. They don't want to relate with their colleagues. It's not a good idea. You must involve your peers if you want your work to add value to knowledge. Then originality. This is very important. You must try to be original. Any paper you are writing, subject it to plagiarism check before you send it to the publisher or to the journal. First, do your own editing. There are so many people, they have plagiarism software. If you appeal to them, some of your colleagues, they will collect 5,000 naira and they will help you do a very good job. At the end of the day, you'll be happy with what you are going to get from the result. You'll be able to improve. That's what I normally do. Anytime I write a paper, I send it to Dr. Mustafa Aliyu, Industrial Relations Department. He will help me do it and charge me a token fee. So at the end of the day, I will know whether the plagiarism rate is very high or is normal. When you have a plagiarism score of 9% or 10%, it's okay. Most journals, they recommend 19% or 18%. Now, spread the word. After you are published, the journal will help you spread your word. Now, I move to the next slide, which is quotable quotes. I want to give you some of these quotable quotes just to motivate you as a scholar. The first one is Daniel J. Bernstein. He said, "I'm an academic. It is publish or perish." So as an academic, you should always have it in mind that it's either you publish or you perish. I forbid that anyone should perish among us. So I will encourage us to always publish. That's why, in fact, that I'm a professor, I have been trying to make sure that I publish at least a paper every year. That is good for academics. So that is the first quotable quote. The second one, being a student is easy. Learning requires actual work. I want you to know that those of you that are still junior ones, those that are also doing their PhD or masters, it's very easy that you are a student. But learning requires actual work. You should learn. And when you want to learn, that requires work. So you must be ready to work so that you'll be able to learn. Then the next one is by Michelangelo. He said, "I'm still learning." Every day you must learn. when you cannot remain stagnant. I know how to make presentation, but most of my presentation, I normally do it without sharing. So I have to call Dr. Bosunlawa that he should tell me how I will do the sharing of my slide. And I find out that it's not a very difficult thing. He taught me. So we should be humble to learn. We should not say, I'm a professor. I don't need to meet anybody. Or I'm a senior lecturer. I'm a doctor. I don't need to learn from others. You cannot make progress. You cannot make speedy progress in that kind of situation. So you must be ready to learn. You learn every day. The next one is by Henry Ford. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. So the moment you stop learning, even if you are 100 years, you are old. You must, even if you are 10 years, if you stop learning, you are already old. You must continue to learn so that you will be young at heart. The last one is by Mel Robbins, and it says, never stop learning, never stop growing. If you stop learning, you will stop growing. Then the last one, I want you to think about this. Whenever you feel bad, just remember that Coca-Cola only sold 25 bottles the first year. What I'm trying to say is that if you are not good in writing research now, don't feel bad. We become professor is not a day's job. The first paper we wrote may not be all that good, but we keep on writing. And that is why we are what we are today. So you should never give up. So you should always remember that Coca-Cola only sold 25 bottles the first year. Today, how many bottles of Coca-Cola are sold? It pains me that I cannot get a response from you. You see that there are trillions or millions of bottles that are sold today. That shows that success at the beginning may not be very that easy. Thank you for listening. If there is any question, I will like to answer one or two questions from the audience before we call it.
Thank you very much, Prof. We thank you as always. You have never disappointed us in sharing knowledge all the way from our undergraduate days. And we pray that by the grace of God, you shall grow and grow in wisdom.
You are already growing, and I'm happy.
Thank you very much, sir.
As the student affairs.
Thank you, sir. So our participants, please, if you have questions, just unmute yourself and ask Prof the question. He's our mentor at any given time, and we will share his address, maybe his email, so that you can continue to enjoy from him. But let's ask our questions based on the presentation today. The floor is open.
Thank you, Taiwo Afolabi and others, for your comments. Thank you, sir.
Hello, Prof, sir.
Yes, sir.
My name is A.A. Salau.
And I've been able to know your name even from your Salau.
Yes, sir.
Dr.
I'm loyal,
Salau.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, in fact, I really gained a lot. I wish this knowledge had come earlier, but the best time is now. I think I'm so much happy that I was able to make the lecture today, sir. Sir, I just want to, there are some instances that they will say some journals are on Scopus, and later.
I forgot. I forget to mention of predatory journals.
Okay, predatory journals.
Yes, it's in my revised this thing. There are some journals, they are predatory.
Okay.
They depict false impression about what they are. And the only way you can know predatory journal is that you have to be very careful. You have to go and check Bill's list of predatory journal. When you check Bill's list of predatory journal, you will see the list of all journals and publishers that are predatory. They normally charge a fee. They normally require you to pay application processing charges, very high application processing charges, and they normally publish regularly. So anytime you see a journal requesting you to pay money and within short period they will publish your work, you should be wary of that kind of a journal. It's likely it's going to be predatory journal. Good journals, we only take about 3 issues in a year. And those that publish more than 3 issues, you will find them on Scopus journals, and they will let you know that they are not predatory. Okay, you can come to your questions, because what I'm saying seems to be different from what you are trying to ask me. So, Dr. Salam.
No, it's a little bit related.
Okay, sir.
The one you gave to it's very useful. But I had experience of some journals that had been on Scopus. They will say after some years, Scopus delisted them from publishing.
From their list.
Yes, sir. What could be responsible for this, sir?
It's likely maybe the journal, they fail to pay their subscription to Scopus. You know, if you want to join some of these journals like Emirate, Elsevier, Sage, and Scopus, as an institution, they will require you to be making payments. It's just like those who are buying software, statistical software and virus software. You are required to pay certain amount per year for them to accept you as part of the database. So some institutions, they normally fail in paying their maybe they normally fail in making payment for their deal. So, and if that happens, they can remove them and say they are no more recognized by Scopus. So, and when they do that, it's advisable you don't publish in those kind of journal, because after some time, it will appear under predatory journal. So you should always, and not that alone, there may be a lot of reasons for that. Some journal, they may not be publishing regularly. And when you don't publish maybe for about 2 years, your journal will become outdated. So there are a lot of reasons for that. And that is the reason why the moment you discover that a journal is being referred to as not Scopus, don't publish there. Publish in those that are recognized, that are still valid member of Scopus, or that are listed as active.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Dr. Aladi.
It's the one that just asked you the question, sir.
Yes, I can see that.
Any other participant that wants to ask any question or comments?
To ask, so that
it's a very big opportunity we have here, so let's make good use of it. Otherwise, by 12:30, we shall call it a day.
If not that question, I've even forgotten about predatory.
All right, Prof, it seems we are all satisfied with what you have presented. May the good God continue to reward you.
Thank you, sir. I will send
my hand, though.
Okay, who is speaking? No.
This is Dr.
Please ask your question.
This is Dr. Tajudeen Adegbite.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, in fact, I want to use this
Doctor, you're welcome for the question.
Hello?
Yeah,
I want to use this media to thank my professor. In fact, I really enjoy your presentation.
May
the Almighty Allah continue to bless you.
Thank you, sir.
And make you excel more than the expectation, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm humble.
But the only question I'm having at present is this.
Okay, sir.
You know, sometimes wherever we send papers to Q2, or let's say there's a paper in Q3.
Okay.
I do face some challenges that even with what I have passed through, with what I have knew through this, the analysis of data.
Okay.
But there was a time that a reviewer has to review my paper. When he reviewed it, he didn't know what I'm trying to explain.
Okay, sir.
But I was trying to convince him instead of the editor to be able to see to my complaint, they rejected the paper. But in that situation, what shall we do to it?
Well, there are some tips that you need to know when you want to publish a Q ranking paper. Let me give you that tip. The first one is that the journal you want to publish your paper, try to download at least 3 or 4 papers that are related to your topic. Try to download it and read it and master it very well, more especially the current one. When you do that, try to make sure that you cite some of these authors in your work. You may not know some of these authors may be your reviewer.
Okay.
So that is indirectly bringing them to be on your side. So the moment they see that he has even cited my work, that will make them to have at least an objective assessment. They will not be so biased. Then in a situation where you try to convince the editor about what you have done and they are still not satisfied, you can send it to another journal. It's as simple as that. I sent my journal to Journal of Management. I didn't know that Journal of Management is a Q1 rated journal. I sent that paper to a Journal of Management. My brother, when I saw the comments, I said, I cannot finish this correction in a month's time. And I know that I don't have the luxury of time. I was in Ghana at that time. I said, I don't have the luxury of time to wait for a month before doing correction and sending my paper to a journal again. And I don't know when they will send me another review. What I did is that I sent it to Malaysian University Journal. They didn't even do anything. They just published the paper. Because at University of Ilorin, I know that when it is time for promotion, they don't want to know whether you publish in a Q-rated journal or what they are interested in is university-based journal. So if you try publishing in a particular journal and the editor or the reviewer, they are not in agreement with your suggestion, you can send it to another journal. And I've said earlier on that we need to look for association or conferences organized by some of these Emirates and publishing company. Just let us try to go and attend any of these conferences and workshops. You may, when you get there, you may interact with some of these, some of the editors of this journal. I know a colleague of mine at University of Ilorin who published in Springer through that avenue. If I mention the name of that guy, he is a known person. He's in accounting department. Well, since it's a good thing, I can mention his name. Professor Kasum. He met some of the editor in a conference in London, and he discussed with those people. They agreed to write a paper together, and it was published. In fact, when it was their turn to apply for promotion, he has the highest score because through conference he has been able to establish a relationship. So we have to network. You have to network. You don't have to stay in your place. When you network, you meet some of these people that will even be your reviewer. And the moment they know you, they can even have informal relationship with you. You will just be surprised that your paper will be published. So I think I have answered that question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm very grateful, sir.
Thank you, sir. Your affiliation. Your affiliation, sir.
Continue to be with you. We call you, also have you well and healthy to come and help us out in areas of discourse like this. Okay. You have a wonderful day, and we thank you most importantly, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir, Dr. Very soon, Professor Lawa. You are one of those that are making us to be proud.
Thank you, sir.
My first PhD student is now associate prof. So, and I will be happy when you become prof. I will say is one of my undergraduate students.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Amen, sir. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm very grateful. Bye.
Bye-bye, sir.
Yes. Hello, sir.